up. Look on the left-hand side. See all those beautiful people? Wave goodbye to them. You will never see them ever again. I'm just kidding. It's a theme park. You probably will. And I still have one more person to introduce to you. That is my co-host. You'll recognize him if you're a fan of The Tonight Show on NBC. So here he is.
Oh, hey there. You made it. Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece. You've got the very best guide.
Lauren.
And the greatest driver.
Gladys.
They're the best. I love them. Even though
one of them.
Only $5. I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
That's right. I do have just a couple of safety rules to go over. 5,000 films. 5,000 of those films are silent films, a little bit shorter, easier to make. 3,000 and counting films with sound, also called talkies, which are sitting on either side of the tram. We make more than just movies. We film commercials, television shows, music videos, you name it, because we are here in Universal City, California. We have our own zip code, police station, hospital wing, DMV, only open 2 times a year, so you can imagine how long that line is. But most importantly, for any special effects that we're filming here on our property, we have our own dedicated fire station, numbered Fire Station 51, as no homage. And this is what the inside of a soundstage looks like. Those quilted walls, that is the soundproofing material, and that's a full-size SUV to scale. It shows you how large Soundstage 12 really is, but take a look on your left-hand side. The doors to Soundstage 20 are open, so you can take a peek inside of what a working soundstage actually looks like. So our studio is actually split into 2. We have the front lot where we currently are and the back lot where we are heading. And the front lot is home to the majority of our 28 sound stages. Coming up on your left-hand side, sound stages 17 and 16 are currently home to Superstore with America Ferrera and Ben Feldman. These 2 sound stages were also used in all 8 seasons of ABC's Desperate Housewives. All the interiors were built inside of these sound stages. And soundstage 16 is where Alfred Hitchcock filmed his iconic shower scene in the movie Psycho. But we film in pretty much every square inch, so as we make this turn, keep looking off on your left-hand side. Just past the tent that you're going to see is a brick building. That is our Abbott and Costello parking garage. And that was used in about 60 episodes of CSI with Ted Danson. Anytime there was a victim found in a parking lot or parking garage, it was always that Abbott and Costello parking lot. And as you're looking on your left-hand side, you'll see Soundstage 21, which is still home to Superstore. They actually required 3 sound stages, but that exact soundstage was used in Jurassic Park. In the first film, there's a sequence of scenes after the T-Rex pushes the Jeep off the track. We see the Jeep in the tree, it falls, then in the morning the Brachiosaurus or Vegisaurus sneezes. That was filmed inside of Soundstage 21. They removed the floorboards, created about a 16-foot pit, making Soundstage 21 even taller. That same space was actually mission control for or Sitcom Alley. The sound stages on your right-hand side have been had its own kitchen, office space, and dressing room for long days on set. But now the industry has changed. Actors are contracted to the production, so we use those trailers because they're easier to move, and they can actually travel internationally. But as long as we had these bungalows, we just converted them into office spaces for anything pre-production related. That's anything that happens before the clip here from my co-host, Jimmy Fallon.
Hey everyone, welcome to New York. I got my start right here in New York on Saturday Night Live. This is actually my old neighborhood. Once got mugged over there by an old woman. Tough lady. This is my favorite hot dog guy. Hey, buddy, how's it going? Remember me? No. Just like old times. Gotta love New York City. Hey, I'm walking here. It's cool, guys. I was just walking there. So it's even if you make it here on the Universal lot.
And you really can make it anywhere. Right now we're traveling through what we call London Square, which was also India in the Mindy Project. And we just showed you a little bit of New York Street, so we're actually turning into New York Street. Now we're going to play a couple of tricks on you here in our back lot. All these buildings, they're what we call facades, meaning false front. They're actually only the front and sides. There's not really a whole lot of space inside of these buildings. Remember, for every 1 actor that appears on screen, there's 10 crew members behind the camera, so there's really not a lot of space inside. On top of that, as we are driving past, if you look at the brick and mortar it's not actual brick and mortar, it's fiberglass. Fiberglass is significantly cheaper and easier to customize. You can peel off a coat of paint, add a new coat, or change the texture entirely. Now, New York Street, which we are currently on, is one of the most popular New York metropolitan areas in all of Hollywood. This street is the obstacle course for American Ninja Warrior, and Captain America, the first Avenger with Chris Evans, this street is where Captain America first got his superpowers, and he's chasing after Hydra agents, jumping on top of cars. On your right-hand side, if you look at this glass building, look at that rust line. In Captain America, that was set in the 1940s. That glass building is not time period appropriate, so they made it look like a construction site. That rust line is a remnant from that production because it rained so much while they were filming. Coming up on your left-hand side, you'll see the Lyric Theater from Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire, where Peter Parker was just slightly late to the importance of being earnest, and he runs across the street to the bar, which is now a bookshop in our newer renovated cityscape, but also we had a commercial that was filming here pretty recently. Now, while we're here, take a look on either side and look up. Notice how these buildings are only about 50 feet tall, but the windows get progressively smaller. We have two eyes. We see in 3 dimensions. We can tell that the windows are getting smaller. A camera can only see in 2 dimensions. So when a camera looks up at those windows, instead of looking smaller, they look like they're farther and farther away. It's a technique we call forced perspective. And I'm going to bring that up a couple times on our tour. But while we're here, look around. Where are the street lights? When I talk about customizing the sets, we're talking about customizing them for any situation. In the sidewalk, there's these evenly placed squares. Those are what we call light boxes. There's an outlet and a post hole. To be a visitor, that is cinema's favorite apes. I have director Peter Jackson here to talk to you about King Kong.
It's the original King Kong, but of experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, but just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island.
As we enter inside Skull Island, please remain seated. Hold on to your personal items, and if you would like to take photos or videos, you are welcome to. Hold on to your cameras.
In a sense, this is like a mini sequel, a mini continuation. We're just taking the Kong and Skull Island and the dinosaurs that we established in our feature.
King Kong 360 3D. That is the world's second largest 3D experience. You can go ahead and take off your 3D glasses, but hold on to them. We still have the largest experience coming up a little bit later in our tour.
Put them on.
So that actually was director Peter Jackson and his team at What a Digital that came together. They are especially great at giving us very specific engine instead. The Back to the Future 2 cars are now in the past. Back to the Future 2 was set in 2015, so welcome to the future. They're parked next to the original Prius, the prehistoric cars from the Flintstones, which were not foot-powered. They were actually towed by another vehicle. Of course, we have cars from the Fast and Furious franchise. These are some of the cars. Every car was modified per stunt. And then we have this gyrosphere from Jurassic World. But if you notice, it's missing its glass. The glass never existed. Glass is reflective, so you see the entire camera crew. The orange dots are where they added in the glass using CGI. And then we have this Transformers tank. Mighty, it's impressive. It is 70% plywood. If you're going to make a giant CGI robot crush a tank, it's cheaper and easier to make that tank out of plywood instead of actual metal. On top of that, all of those seams are actually hinges, so we can collapse that tank and rebuild it in just a park, including the mobile lab unit, which you've seen before in this scene on your screens. And it's convincing. We have 2 T-Rexes pushing this lab unit off the cliff edge in Isla Sorna. But things aren't exactly as they seem. So I'm going to pause your screens. That way you can take a nice good look at the mobile lab unit coming up. Is also about 70% plywood. That's because this cliff edge I have paused on your screens is that Abbott and Costello parking garage I pointed out earlier that CSI used. That it's a green screen, some dirt, and it's off the coast of Costa Rica. And it wasn't even 2 T-Rexes pushing that mobile lab unit forwards and backwards. It was another vehicle. Now, do be advised, we have dinosaurs on the lot today. They might hop out and say hello. It's usually just a little spit. It's a compliment, I promise. It's a good thing. Now, when it comes to Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, anytime we have a scary or carnivorous dinosaur introduced to us, it is at night and it's in the rain. It creates these moments of suspense, but it doesn't always rain here in Southern California. On top of that, as much as a director likes to think they control everything, when a director yells action, the skies do not open up. That is not how weather works. So we're going to show you how we can recreate and control weather sequences here in Old Mexico as we make this turn. Keep in mind, there's 3 separate parts to production. Pre-production is the planning process. Production proper is the filming process, but we are only concerned about the actors' dialogue and their action. And then post-production is where we add sound effects, music, and we tie everything together. So if you're ever watching a movie and an actor is reacting to a thunderclap, it's not the actual sound effect they're reacting to. They're reacting to someone behind the camera saying thunderclap. Very exciting, I know. But for you guys, we have a pre-recorded thunderclap placed in speakers throughout this set. It's where the birds are chirping. Those are also part of those speakers. And then we also have some hidden lighting instruments you might recognize as strobe lights. It kind of makes the look and appearance of a lightning strike as well. It looks like we're having just a little bit of a technical difficulty here. There we go. It looks and sounds almost like a perfect thunderstorm, but we still need one more element, that is of course rain. So we have a high pressure water system called a sprinkler. It sends the water directly upwards, allowing it to fall naturally to the ground, but the raindrops you're about to see are 4 times larger than normal because rain is clear and it doesn't appear well on screen. If you've ever watched a sporting event where they're telling you it's raining but you don't see the rain on TV, that's natural rain. This is Hollywood rain. Even in the black and white filming days, we added powdered milk to rain so it appeared better on a black and white grayscale. Also notice how the rain isn't covering the entire set. You only need rain where your actors are performing. A typical film day is upwards of 8 to 14 hours. You also want to control the amount of water you use and where it lands, mostly so you can keep your cameras and equipment dry, since most cameras are very expensive and they are not waterproof. So I do hope yours are waterproof, since we've got that flash flood heading directly for us. Even though it looked like an out-of-control flash flood, it was controlled the entire time, and it's actually going to be recycled. It's the same flash flood all day. Now we're going to leave the wetter portion of Old Mexico behind. We're still in Old Mexico, just a drier courtyard. Coming up on your right-hand side, the larger alleyway was the marketplace in Peru and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Purple, a movie studio in Marvel's Agent Carter, and a dude ranch in ABC's Castle. Now our tour is approximately at the halfway mark, so I just want to remind everybody to stay seated during the entire tour. The studio is alleyways. This was Genovia and the Princess Diaries 2, A Royal Engagement, Pamplona, Spain, and City Slickers, and Night and Day, the Caribbean Trilogy, Paris, France, and the Muppet Movie. So just like in the Metropolitan sets, the Little Europe sets are only the exterior. So if you ever watch an actor enter inside of one of those buildings, what really happens is the director yells cut, and they move inside of the soundstage, which is exactly what we did. We're now on soundstage 50. This is a hot set, so please remain seated and hold on to your personal items. So right now, our Probably just a little tremor. Please remain calm while we're through some emergency procedures. was not a real earthquake. That is what we call a practical effect. It means the actors can react and respond to it just like you did. So congratulations, everyone on board is now qualified to be an actor. And if you're a fan of the hit Fox TV series Bones with David Boreanaz and